Welcome, Mr. Satya sir.
Thank you, Harshad, and thank you for sharing such an amazing, crisp introduction about my journey. It has been a roller coaster ride. I've been into agile transformation training and consulting. I've been both the roles. I've been into training and also supporting through helping learning. I'm also into consulting, which is building the right product, supporting leaders like you to go through right direction, and also right competency building inside the organization. I've seen both the worlds, and Knowlathon has been very close to me as a very close partner. I've been teaching and training different courses, and we've been working with one of the Steam product company in transformation, also in Safe. So I'd like to share a few very interesting learning roadmap in my journey. So I've been introduced into Scrum very early in my career, 2009-10, and very early. I started my career 2007. So if you consider 2007, in 3 years time, I got to know about some concept about Scrum and Agile practices. And one fine day, I was in Chicago at that time. I met one of the chief author for Agile Manifesto. His name is Alistair Coburn, and that's where things changed in profession. And then it has been a roller coaster ride. I've been teaching and also supporting organization transformation, as Harshad shared. In I also teach scale agile or safe context, which of course we'll talk about it. And this year, I'm fortunate to be among top 30 coaches in the world for scale agile. So that has been a huge individual commitment. This is not just a accomplishment, but also it's a commitment to share right knowledge, to start right context for the leaders like you. Again, just to give you context about what we are going to cover, we'll be looking into few elements very clearly. So we'll invest around 45 minutes of time and to 50 minutes of time understanding these questions. We'll reserve, say, around 10 minutes for questions. First, we have to understand, even if you are applying agile practices or Scrum practices, do we know why we are applying agile practices, and how we are applying agile practices, and what is Scrum, and how do you build competency into Scrum? And we'll look into the two major certifications in Scrum. One is CSM and PSM, which is the core of today's learning journey for you. And very interestingly, I have done CSM and PSM years back, so very easily I can help you to understand which would be much better or more appropriate for your role. Uh, so many across different leaders might compare, but I'll give you very realistic and very practical approach to choose which one is the right fit for you. You might do both, it's possible, because I have both. So it is based on different context, based on what kind of organization you are trying to plan, or what kind of career you have, what kind of organization you are supporting. There are other elements to it. We'll be able to discuss that as we go through. Now, if we look into the why we are going into agile practices, why certain practices are not working in today's 2024 context or today's digital age, one of the biggest reason that every organization, this is from Japan to US, across every organization, every geography, and one of the bigger challenge that organization is facing is visibility. How clearly you are able to see how we are doing, what is our contribution, individual contribution, team contribution, and this is about execution of work. Another challenge the organization is facing is late delivery. So there are so many ripple effects, so many challenges that organization are not able to support, so many projects which are getting delayed, which is again creating ripple effect. And also growth of complexity. We are living in a very complex environment. Almost everything that we do is connected to technology, connected to a software. And last 20 years has been exponentially our our relationship to its software, our relationship with how we'll be dealing with software has been extensively evolved. So very naturally, you'll be able to see how these approaches will be growing in the future. Now, as you see, most of the organizations are going into agile transformation, talks about agile transformation. What is the base of it? There has to be certain base, certain elements of input to it, certain change to our behavior, certain change to our processes. What is that? So one of the whole idea of Agile started in 2001. There was one conference where 17 greatest thinkers at that time in software met, and they tried to understand how to understand the psychology of people, the humanistic element of people, the complexity of work. So if you look back 200 years, 250 years of management practice from 1770s to till now, because before that we are in agro based, we are agriculture, right? Industry started in 1770s. That's why history is also very important, right? That means the whole idea of work started around 250 years back. When the idea of work started, it is more very tangible by nature. What is tangible by nature? I can touch and feel. Have to produce mass production, we have to build a bridge, we have to do something, we have to build a certain products which you can touch and feel. So most of the work is very structured into right input. Let me give you very clear context in this. If you are very comfortable with this, you'll be able to understand agile practices very, very easily. So anything that I like to discuss, I'll be using a whiteboard. You'll get a digital copy, not written, but not handwritten, but a digital copy. Okay, of whatever we'll be using in whiteboard. Now, if you look back and see 250 years back, management practice from factories. So we call it industrial revolution. From that, we call it factory workers model, railway engine, and so many different journey you have gone through. These are predominantly tangible by nature. You can touch and feel. When you have tangibility, you can touch and feel what you are building. So I have to make a, say, bridge, touch and feel. We have to mass manufacture pens, touch and feel. So the process, the input is very clear. Input of information is very clear. When you have a very clear input, then your expectation of output is also very clear. You just have to manage the process. Process means how we are going to do. Input is what you are going to do. Process is how we are going to do. And output is what we have delivered. Very clear, right? If you look into the tangible, touch and feel, whatever you can touch and feel. If you look into industry, last 250 years, we're still developing certain tangible product. Mobile phone is a tangible. Anything of software is connected to certain of tangible product and solution. Without that, it will not work. Now, the whole idea of software started, the first software was written in, say, 1948. Baby, right? If you look into commercial success of software, started in 70s and 80s. First mainframe started, we call it IBM 360, which was first commercial mainframe where we use technology to support businesses. Then if you see the growth of technology has been immense last 20 years. That means if you consider it's around 40 to 50 years old, very practically, if you see 40 to 50 years old, what exactly that means is anything of software development is intangible by nature. You don't have very clear input. You might not have very clear output because this is intangible by nature. There would be certain changes because of how we are building it. Who is our customer? What is our competitive demand? There is always a very natural force of change, which is external. Because of that, our input and output both are slightly unclear. We don't have clarity. That means there are some scope of change. When you look into any intangible approach, intangible product and solution, when you have very unclear input, we don't have all the knowledge at the initial level, then you will have to define hypothesis. That means we have to build a hypothesis, which is an experimentation. You have to test that hypothesis. And then we have to understand, analyze that hypothesis. And from that, you learn from that hypothesis. So that means the process which we defined, top down, requirement validation, execution, then test, then output or result. This will not work in software development. It is very difficult because it requires constant reflection, which we call inspection. We have to look back how we are doing because it is intangible, touch and feel. You don't have touch and feel. You cannot touch and feel. There has to be visibility of work. That means we should be knowing at what stages of development we are in. And that creates complexity of software development. And there are free methods like waterfall. There are methods RUF, so many methods which supported software initially, say 1970s, 80s, which were not practically applicable because we are more aware how technology will be able to support and save our life. Now, if you consider that as a factor, there is always a requirement, there is always a need, there is always a need. How do you use or build better software? In 2001, there was a snowboard conference, okay, that is in Utah, US. There are 17 people met, and they tried to think about how do we change the way software development are made? Because we are challenging 200 years of management practice. It's not very clear as we were to see in, say, building or designing this van, very tangible. I can touch and feel. I can see what stages things are. When you look into that factor, then these great leaders met and they try to understand how software development process can be, and they defined what we call agile conference, agile manifesto conference, where we define certain agile practices and certain value system. So there is where four values were defined. Agile is a mindset. Mindset of what? Moving away from a factory kind of thinking to a collective thinking. So if you look into any agile approaches, it always supports collective thinking. It's not one individual thinking. We collectively think because we are building intangible work. Now we describe certain value system. Value system means what we are trying to respect. Principles are how we are going to respect those value system. And based on that, we are able to define certain practices, method, and framework which will support your execution, support input, support process, and also support your outcome, which maybe any other method we are not able to support. Say, for example, just to give you context, very clear context. Okay, it's very simple and crisp and clear also for you, right? Let me give you a very clear context. Now we started to build a input. We started to build a, say, for example, an application, say an application for communication, for example, application of communication, like just like WhatsApp, maybe, right? Now, in that communication, the input we expected is, say, this will enable any communication of chat. Okay. Now we started to build on top of it. We started to analyze, then define, then develop, then test. When we are testing, say, for example, this time frame is 6 months. When we are testing, there are customers who expected this communication model, user who will be using this communication model. They said, can we change the chat to maybe visual video? Now what will happen? It's a video interface now. The requirement from external context changed. Now what you will have to do? You're already testing certain things. So you have to go back and analyze again. This we call cost of delay. Now you'll have to delay the execution or release of this, and customers will be frustrated. Customers will not get the value right way. Certain processes don't support early delivery, continuous delivery, and this model of work was failing. That's why agile way of working was introduced. How do you look into incremental delivery? So that doesn't mean that we are not doing analysis. We are not designing. We are not developing. We are not testing. We are going through each of the approach, but we are going into smaller incremental. Now, if you look into execution side of it, from a thinking, it's okay. We are trying to define incremental because don't want to restart again. We have lost cost of delay because there is delay happening everywhere. We also look into cost of implementation. That means we have to invest more money. You have to pay people. It's always very expensive. Now, to solve that, one framework has been very, very successfully supporting software development practices, which is a base we call Scrum. Okay. In that event, we spoke about Agile Manifesto conference, we started to move away from certain practices. We started to respect certain practices. So if you have to use collective intelligence, then everyone has to interact. We cannot do it in silo. We have to interact about what we are trying to do, why we are trying to do. The software we are building should be working for customer. They should be able to get value out of it. We should be able to collaborate, understand customers' need, ask them for validation, and we should be able to respond to external change very quickly, faster than the competitor. Of course, we need to respect certain processes, documentation, approaches. Okay. And also we have to certain plan also we have to follow, but we have to respect how we are trying to respond. We are to respect how we are collaborating, how we are understanding customers. Okay, so these are few value system very naturally in the certification path. If you want to go, you'll be getting deeper into that, and also the principles. Anything of principle is what you'll do, how you'll apply it. So how do I satisfy customer? How do I respond to customer requirement? How do I frequently deliver? How do I communicate? How do you motivate? How do you communicate face to face? How do I understand? How do I create output? How do you sustain for the future? How do you apply technical practices? How do you create a simple, very easy? Our customers' users are very simple. They should be able to understand and comprehend what you're building. How do you build a self-sufficient team? They don't have to depend on others. And how do you continuously improve? These are 12 principles. These are 4 value. These are 12 principles. These are base of how you are challenging factory workers model, how you are challenging the way in software development life cycle. This has been a very, very powerful journey for organizations, for individuals like you to apply agile practices, these practices right way. After this manifesto conference, there was one framework which was very, very powerfully aligned to that practice. We call it Scrum. Okay, just to give you context, say for example, we have certain stakeholder, say business. Business has certain challenges. Say for example, the same case. So we want to create a communication channel where anyone can communicate anywhere. Okay, clear. The idea is we have to create a communication model. Fine. Now, based on the communication model, we are expecting to create certain goal. What is the goal of that communication model? Product goal means product vision. What is the vision of that communication model? There can be multiple communication. So chat is one, video is one, okay, audio is one. So in product vision and product roadmap and whole product thinking, you are able to comprehend what a possible communication medium the customer might expect. So you're predicting based on certain fact. You're trying to build hypothesis based on certain fact. And based on your product goal, you create a living document. We call it product backlog. The whole idea of product backlog is a living document which will complete your product goal, which will solve the business challenge for any customer, any project, any product, whatever you see, it's solving a specific business problem. Okay. I'll give you a very simple example so that you understand the context very, very well. Okay. Very simple, yet very powerful. Okay. So I'm Satya. I have to transfer money to you. So anyone say Harshad. I have to transfer money to Harshad. I'm in 2004. How do I transfer money? Any idea? I'm in 2004. Anyone wants to just unmute and share very quickly?
Check.
Check,
Make money
yes.
transfer.
Money transfer. So that means I'll have to physically go to a bank. Yes. Then I'll have to document certain documentation. Based on that documentation, there will be a legacy system, right? Software. Bank representative, cashier will have, and based on that, he or she transfer the money on behalf of me. So as a user, I have to physically invest time and energy. So if I have to transfer money in 2024, how do I do it? Unified payment interface. Yeah, unified
UPI.
payment interface, Veeam, third-party application. What changed? So we build a software. Yes, we build a software which is solving Satya and Harshad's problem, right? Satya don't have to go to bank because it has solved a business problem. That means easy accessibility. Whatever legacy system software we had, now everyone we have do it yourself because we are more educated how software is going to support. So this is what solution is. Any project, any product is your solution. This you are trying to solve. This you are build. The problem is Satya have to physically go to a bank to transfer money. Harshad has to wait to get the money. It solves problem for different customer. And that's where Scrum as a framework has been very successful because this is say problem. This is the solution, how we are trying to define the solution. And then we have different event. It's not ceremony, it's called event. Ceremony as a word was removed. And there is product backlog management technique. One of the most used product backlog management technique is deep. Of course, we don't have time for discuss on deep right now. In the class, you might already naturally will get the context of deep. Based on that, every 14 days, so there is a timeline, specific timeline, which we call sprint length. So 7 to 30 days. We normally consider 14 as mean. Every one organization goes for 14 days. For every 14 days, incrementally, we build a hypothesis. These two elements of work we are trying to execute. In an event, we call it sprint planning, where we plan collectively, not alone. Collectively, we think and we try to plan how we are going to execute. Based on that, we visualize our work because anything intangible has to be visualized. And then we look into our goal. What is the goal of 14 days? So every individual contributes. So every event in any agile practices, not just Scrum, any agile practices is change behavior, is to change behavior. So we never used to plan together. Collectively, we are planning. We never used to talk about what is my individual contribution every day. Now we are doing it. Now we are talking about this is my individual contribution. This is I as a Satya I'm going to do. This will impact you like this. This is my challenge for today. I need this kind of database. I need this kind of dependency. I need this kind of say security interface. This is something we'll be able to communicate to other team members so that everyone is aware how things are done. Again, this is based on a very empirical process control. That means we have a hypothesis, we test that hypothesis, validate, and based on testing that hypothesis, we create certain outcome, result. And then based on the outcome, we again learn from it. This is called empiricism. When you have an idea, you experiment that idea and fit. This creates your respond to change. It's a spiral model. You will evolve as you go through. You'll have more awareness about what you are building. It will not restrict you from going through a content, maybe half-cooked content or half-cooked knowledge or misunderstood context, because you'll know what is the original intention is. Because the time scope is very, very less, you still have the time to respond to change, still have the time to refine it and go for next 14 days execution. Very powerful framework. It's a process framework, but challenge is this framework is very challenging if you don't understand the context very, very well. If you look into this, it looks very simple, but what kind of behavior product owner needs, what kind of behavior team needs, what kind of behavior Scrum Masters need to support that journey. If we don't know the originality, the original context of this, it can be very, very daunting and challenging to apply. Say, for example, what are the top product backlog management technique? Who will be coaching, mentoring, facilitating, and teaching the team? How do you define output? How do you validate that all development team members are aware how they will be able to apply each other's collective intelligence? Who will be able to respond? How do I define the planning? How do I validate these are priority? How do I validate these are more critical? How do I validate that our team has knowledge on doing so? How do I validate that everyone respect the event? How do I validate that people should, organization people are confident to communicate what they need? How do I validate that there is a support system necessary? There are different level of challenges. To support these challenges, Scrum as a framework, which is built for smaller team. It's built for 7 plus minus 2. Okay. As a team, team in development team. Scrum is an empirical process where decisions are based on observation, based on certain fact, experience, and experimentation. That is called empiricism. Scrum has 3 pillars. Transparency. How do I validate what we are doing? Anything intangible, if I have to validate, if I have to validate, what do you have to do? I have to create a transparent Scrum board, Kanban board, anything. Creates transparency. This is what I'm working on. This is what element is stuck because of this. This is because of this, I'm not able to complete. With any intangible element, if you want to create transparency, you have to visualize work. So how do I visualize work? The Scrum supports in creating visualization of work, where everyone understands this is Satya's contribution, this is Harshad's contribution, and after Satya contributes, then only Harshad will be able to contribute. That is your transparency. Everyone knows, so that you understand dependency. Inspection. Now, why we are not able to align that? Inspection, understand the root cause and adopt. Okay, because of this element is not understood or not executed because we don't have the right architectural support need. Design support still is there. Database support still not there. So you adopt. Now we know the reason, root cause, and then we try to improve it. So for that, trust is necessary. We have to trust each other. Trust is a base, and then transparency, inspection, adoption. Then we have 5 core value. Courage. Courage doesn't mean it will fight with each other, right? Courage means taking right appropriate decision at the right time, taking right risk. There would be challenge where, say, for example, I have a customer base who will use chat. 1 million customer probability customer base will be chat, but I still have video and audio customer in communication model that we have been discussing. Maybe I'll not have 1 million. I'll not have 50,000. I'll have. It's okay. 30,000 I'll have. It's okay. I don't want to lose these additional people. Very naturally, you will take a risk so that you increase your customer base. Every product that you see, that is called product lifecycle, product or services, you'll see it will evolve. It will create a new customer. That's how the product grows. That is your courage. Now we have to experiment. That is our courage. This is not possible because this is not technology possible. So many leaders in agile practices, we have misunderstanding. Okay. What misunderstanding? We are doing agile, so anything can be changed. My metaphor is, If you are building a car, it cannot change into aeroplane. Simple. There are certain possibility of change, certain not possible. We are building a software execution. That doesn't mean everything can be changed. It's not possible. Certain things, it needs certain structure. Just like a house, it needs certain architecture. So this is has a limitation. There are limitations of change. Yes, we can build a better car. Yes, we can build car with different function, different speeds, different structure, different space, but we cannot make it aeroplane. Again, that is also very important. We have focus. Focus means I'll complete one element. I cannot complete multiple things. Multitasking is a myth. I should be able to complete one element, then execute. Commitment. I should be knowing how to do it. I should be knowing what are the practices needed. Respect. Of course, I have to respect a method. These are scientific experimented method. It has been very successful. Last 20 years, everything that digital is, digital world, digital transformation has gone through because of we have a very strong scientific management approach to support organizations. We have to respect and we are open to experiment, open for criticism. Healthy criticism, healthy debate is very powerful for success of any product and solution. Now, coming to that, it also requires huge support system, learning support system. Now, when you look into learning support system, what I mean is, how do I validate that knowledge? The creator of Scrum is Jeff Sutherland and Ken Swanberg. Now, if I have to validate that knowledge, how do I validate that knowledge? I'll go through a learning process. Say there are two certifications which are original, say original source and original research. If you look into professional Scrum Master and certified Scrum Master. CSM is by Scrum Alliance, which started in 2002, 3. Scrum Alliance started, sorry, Scrum.org started in 2007. I'll give you context about these two certifications. Okay. Now, which one you should go for? What is the need and what are the structure to it? Now, if you take the consideration of PSM, now the option how you can go through the certification is either you can join 2 days live training, then you'll get certification. That's one option. Or you can do a self-study and complete your examination. It's not mandatory to do the training. Training is not required. If you want to validate how much I understand Scrum practices, how much I'm comfortable about Scrum practices, you can always go through this. Now, if you want to understand very critical element, you're very new to Scrum practices, you have never done it, you're very new, you have no clue about what practices are, you can go to CSM, which is live, face-to-face like this. You cannot do self-learning and execute. There has to be 16 hours of learning. Then only you will be qualified. Because these are from different certification bodies, both has their own strength and weaknesses. Normally, we don't talk about it, but as a consultant, I have to be very honest with my profession. I'm going to share and you decide which would be much better certification for you. CSM requires a mandatory 2 days training, okay, through a CST. And then after you complete the whole process, then you can define. PSM does not require mandatory training. You can directly buy. Self-learning is possible. CSM, after you complete the whole process, there will be 50 questions, online exam, 37. You can score 37 out of 50. If you score, you'll pass. You'll get 2 attempts here. PSM is slightly difficult exam. You have a 60-minute test with a 80 question and pass percentage is 85. That means PSM is slightly difficult exam. CSM is designed by CST, the content, you will see different level of content, level of understanding, but PSM is structured same. The course elements are same across the globe from Japan to US, exactly same. Now, relatively easy certification journey is relatively easy if you want to really go into validate that yes, I want to crack it very easily. I'm very new to this practices. Go for it. If you want to validate, I am practicing agile for a few years now. I want to validate my knowledge, then go for PSM. Then role of Scrum Master, ensuring I understand the basic of Scrum. This is both the Scrum Master and principles also. This goes into application also. That's the difference. The certification is valid, again, validation for valid for 2 years. After that, you have to renew. But PSM does not expire. Every certification has its own strength and weaknesses because these are, if you look into, these are two different certification body, both have their own strength and weaknesses. Both are original sources, both are created by the original creators of Scrum. So if you look into that, your PSM never expires. CSM, every 2 years you have to renew. Next, CSM is slightly more recognized because it started very early, and especially who are very new. This is something I would be very much recommending. You who don't have any clue, you understand that there is something agile, Scrum, and other practices, but you don't know the actual practices. Please go through CSM. You know you have been applying it. Validate if you're doing it right direction. Then go for PSM. Both has its own weakness and strength. This requires more depth of knowledge. Most of the organization have preference, both has a balanced preference. If you look into certification holder, CSM has slightly more certification holder than PSM because CSM is much more universally recognized than PSM. Now, if you're already applying and you have to validate, then PSM is ideal. If you don't know anything, you want to enter, then CSM is practical. Okay, these are few consideration that you should be making before you jump into deciding. And we have amazing team who would be able to support you in the whole process of not just learning the framework but also going through roles, going to transition of role. I started as a analyst, business analyst, and then went into development practice, went into Scrum Master's role, product owner's role, and then product managers. Then moving into different role transition also requires more alignment of knowledge and also practicality of knowledge, which is very critical for supporting or for interacting into this kind of method and practices. Okay, so I'll now move into question answer. If you have any questions, I want to really give you right context of understanding. If you have any questions, you are open to share, and very naturally this would be one of your learning roadmap which is very critical for your professional journey. Yeah, I can see a question. Please, you can unmute and ask question. I like it
Yeah.
that way.
So for CSM and PSM, what are the costing? Can you just give the idea about the costing for both CSM and PSM?
Uh, I think Harshad would be the right person to share. Harshad, would you like to take this question? Arshad, would you like to take this question? So you can always connect with my team. They will be able to share because there are few offers and campaigns are going on. I think team would be right. Arshad, if you want to share directly by communication directly to you or all the leaders, you will get a campaign or a email with all the details, the next batches and the costing that might help. Okay, both have slight difference in cost because PSM is slightly more costlier than CSM. The industry standard is around 20,000 plus GST or 21 plus GST. That was the you'll normally see that is the price range that these certifications are sold. Again, Harshad would be the right and other team members you can connect from our team. They will be able to give you right direction, right pricing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Satya, can we move on to the next question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so what I would like to know from a Scrum point of view, so will there
Mhm.
be any kind of tool while using the Scrum, or it's just a
Yeah.
practice?
So if you look into execution of it, so in Scrum is mostly used software development practice, and one of the tool uses Atlassian Jira. You might be already aware of that, right? Atlassian uses Jira as a tool, which is very practical into using, you might be using. There is one more, Azure DevOps, that is also used. Very naturally, it's based on which, of course, it will go into more execution of things. Of course, there would be a specific trainer who might suggest you certain tools based on your organization need, but you will be knowing about the tool which supports agile practices.
So other thing, how it is different from like the PMP or the ITIL certification?
Thank
What?
you. Thank you. This is a very, very interesting question. Let me share that element. So if you look into PMP and ITL, okay, these two certification looks into, one is readiness, infrastructure readiness, and organization readiness to support technology, right? This is look into budgeting and organization readiness to execute project. Now, both are more from a tangible product and solution. This is slightly for IT, but these are project management are considered mostly into after 2020 only they changed as added agile, which is around 51% they added agile 2020. PMP is mostly guided to understand how what is the budget, what are the risks, elements of how do you manage project. But when you look into agile practices, it text talks about how do you execute software development practice, not just managing it. It looks into more execution rather than readiness or management context. And it changes the approach goes into more change into how do you apply collective intelligence, how do you apply incremental development, how do you apply collective, say maybe organization intelligence, and also right economic behavior or economic practices to support, which are slightly lacking here. And because these are more designed for more tangible element, this is designed for intangible. That's why if you look into agile practices, more collective, more structured element you'll be able to see. But yes, these knowledge are also helpful. These will complement, always going to complement, but there will be so many unlearning. Say, for example, risk mitigation. Risk mitigation is a very big component of both of them. But when you look into in agile practices, you collectively mitigate risk because you communicate with everyone. So risk mitigation will be very naturally part of your process activities. So it's a significant difference if you see it that way. Of course, it will
Okay, thank you.
complement. Thank you. So if you are looking into role in project management where you are supporting IoT, software, hardware, everything, then it will complement. But most of the solutions now, any organization you're working on, they will heavily invest into software. So try to move into more software rather than say traditional budgeting, because in next say 5 to 6 years, anything which is repeated, cost management, benefit management, risk management would be already taking over by AI will take over. So you don't want to build a competency which is replaceable. I hope I've given enough hint, Sivaji. So you have to
Yes,
build
yes, thank
competency
you.
which is more intellectual, which cannot be repeatable.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other question? What kind of role you play so that I can suggest which is the best way? So what role you play? You can unmute and share. Let's make it slightly more interactive. Do you support projects? Do you support products? Do you support
Yeah,
both?
this is
Yeah,
Tushar.
Tushar.
So I'm into IT infrastructure domain. So building up new offices, connecting those offices, moving the IT infrastructure from one location to another. So this kind of project and programs I'm handling.
Okay. So Tushar, in your case, when it will go to cloud, when most of the things are going into cloud, there will be a cloud infrastructure, right? Legacy to cloud. So
Yeah.
most of the legacy to cloud are looking into more incremental based execution, because based on the need, based on the execution in banking, most of the time you will see that is coming up. There you need more incremental development, understanding of agile practices that would complement your knowledge, or you will be able to move into that kind of project where you will be able to lead the whole legacy to cloud transformation kind of projects that will require agile knowledge.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's where your role transition would be also easier, and you can go into from a service execution to a more product centric execution also.
Mhm.
Then
Okay.
you'll automate most of the things, and you'll know where is your CI/CD, where are the your NFR elements necessary. You'll be uh, s- slightly more practical in that journey. Yes,
Thanks.
Pawan, thank you. Very good question. Pawan, anything from your side? If you look into cybersecurity, anything of cybersecurity is more aligned to software development. Very huge software development and data science, IoT, AI elements are there. So fundamentally, if your goal, yeah, if you're not speaking, you can go on mute so that it's easier for other leaders to communicate, if you don't mind. Okay. So if you look into, yeah, Bharati, if you are looking into execution of it, see, my role is I'm in a cybersecurity project. Every day I have to validate the requirement, analyze the requirement. Please go through Scrum understanding. How do I manage that? If you are into more strategic define of cybersecurity, then you need both. Okay. Managing project as well as managing execution, you might need both. So you go through CSM and then go for PMP. Very, very practical because there will be cost management and other elements. But in both of the cases, you might have to understand agile practices very, very well. Any cybersecurity fraud investigation model. I've been part of so many products where fraud investigation model for banking and other systems, even for healthcare system. Healthcare insurance is big, big in fraud. So you cannot even imagine how big that is. I mean, very, very big. So there also your both the knowledge competency is necessary. Hope Bharati, I've given a right context to your question. I hope you're clear. You can unmute if you want, leaders. Thank you. Okay. Any other question? Poonam, Sneha, Pranay, feel free. No question is wrong question, so don't worry. Anything you have in mind. So I'm in that role. This is what I'm planning to do. Pratap, Harsh, Shri, anyone? No questions?
Yeah, Satya, just one last thing I would like to know. So,
Mm-hmm.
think the Scrum is for mostly software. So, what is like untouched in the software development? Like most of the things are already discovered and have been developed. So,
Mm-hmm.
if we are planning, if this is coming forward, so what exactly is left untouched in the software?
Thank you. Very good, Sivaji. Great question. So we have most of the technology which is supporting business, right? But as we supporting technology, this technology also evolving, say for example, AI, IoT, and robotics increasing. As we introduce into new technology, as you enter into new technology, to support this technology, also you need technology, right? Say for example,
Yeah, yeah.
we have AI, generative AI. Now, how generative AI will support, say, a hiring process? How generative AI will support customer service? These are also different solution which are software, right? As any in technology, the beauty of technology is as you evolve into technology, the need of technology to support those evolvement would be even more higher. Say robotics, if you look into robotics, is one of the big Robotics, IoT, and AI. These are next 3 to 5 years. This will change the world. Now, if you build on robotics applications, anything, it can be in manufacturing, it can be in service, it can be designing product, anything. Okay. Now, to support that technology element, also you'll need technology. That means your ecosystem of technology is not going to end at least next 100 years, because without that you cannot evolve. As technology evolve from a manual to automation, to support automation, there are software needed. And then from automation, multiple software automation, also to support everything into one place, you need software. That means the need is not going to change. There will be more need in software because it is solving bigger problem. Save, are you able to visualize how complex it can go next
Yes,
5 to
yes,
10
that's
years?
correct. That is really correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, CSM, as I told you, they're trained by different CSTs. They have their own style. The concept itself is very big. Just to give you context, if you want to understand only Scrum, okay, how much element is there? There is CSM, which is foundation, 2 days. I'm just talking about Scrum, okay. Then advanced CSM, which is practitioner, 2 days, full. Then we have CSPSM, which is a life, say around 1 to 2 month journey. It can take 1 to 2 month journey. These are three core knowledge on Scrum Master's role in Scrum. Then we have PO, product owner, CSPO. These are for product owner's role. Then advanced CSPO. Then CSPPO. Okay. Then this is one certification. If you look into scrum.org, then PSM 1, PSM 2, PSM 3. There are only 950 people who have PSM 3, which is high standard in Scrum Master's role. 950 globally. Just imagine. So there are more PSM 1, lesser. Then you have PSPO. So if you consider the learning context is huge. Tool is something which will complement. You'll know about the tool, but it's not a tool kind of training. It's more about understanding execution, understanding management, understanding the role, responsibility, who will do what, empiricism, how do you apply collective intelligence, how do you problem solve, how do you discuss challenges and validate. It's a continuous journey. Okay. Thank you, Farti. Tool, if you want to learn tool very separately, you can go through different tool system. We also have some e-learning about tools are not difficult if you understand how you are doing it. If you know the context or intention, I can assure you it's very easy to understand on the application side of the tool. Okay. Salman, any question from your side?
No, sir.
Okay, Harshad, I think you might have all the data of all the leaders who have joined in. There is a query about cost and all. Please do share a detailed email about cost and next batches and uh, other things. All the leaders who are here, if you want to go through the whole journey, you can always connect with me. You can always share information to Harshad, and I can help you in defining your own learning roadmap based on your role. I know it's a very small time frame to support. I'm there to support your execution, and very naturally. This is not a training, right? This is just to make you aware that these competencies are very necessary. And Harshad, then I'm already there to support whatever career journey you want to go through. And you might get an email from Harshad about that. Harshad, over to you.
Yes, yes, yes. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining this.